So I want to do a video about Will Ospreay. Is Will Ospreay the man? Is Will Ospreay the guy who is going to be the next big star and the next big baby face for AEW? So I want to give my thoughts on that here today on this video. First and foremost, I want to say that I have been on Will Ospreay's nuts for years. I love this dude. The series of matches he had with Ricochet a few years ago were phenomenal. The dude has just incredible God-given talent, and he's taken that talent and honed his skills to improve even more and has delivered an amazing package. And he was one of the pillar cornerstones of New Japan. AEW has a bit of a problem right now, and they have a lot of problems, but one of the issues they have right now is with the fact that their roster is very bloated and they keep signing more people. Now, I'm not saying that it's dumb for Tony Khan to sign Will Ospreay, Okada, all these guys. They're great talents. There's nothing wrong with scouting talent and getting these guys. Now, pay-wise, he might pay a bit much, but nevertheless, I understand why he got those talents. The issue is that, and it's actually kind of bad news for New Japan, the fact that AEW right now has Okada, Jay White, Kenny Omega, and Will Ospreay, four of the most important pieces of the 2010s, the entire decade of New Japan. And they have all these guys signed under contracts, and their issue now is, well, what direction do we take the company because we have so many big stars? So don't let the ballyhoo fool you, ladies and gentlemen. MJF has not left AEW. I know that they've taken his name off of the roster page and they're kind of pretending like he's gone. He's not gone. He will be back and probably continue the Adam Cole feud once they both recover from their injuries. Now, the reason why I bring him up is because a lot of folks have been saying that Will Ospreay should win the AEW World Heavyweight Title at All In. Now, I sort of see where they're coming from because Will Ospreay is super over with that audience, even though he's proven not to really be a television draw, at least not yet. But what amazes me most about Will Ospreay is the fact that he's been able to learn how to cut promos really, really well. The dude was always super charismatic, but lately, and he talked about this too in the press conference, how like he has to work on his promos because he cusses too much, and in Japan you're allowed to cuss in English, but here on television you have to be careful. But the dude has this awesome energy. Like he just oozes energy and he oozes likability, and he's a guy who I think should be the AEW World Champion, but is All In 2024 the year to do it? Here's the issue. They've also got Swerve Strickland challenging for that title at Dynasty. Now, Swerve Strickland has proven his worth in the past. I would say, well, he's always been awesome, but he's really stepped it up in the past 8 months or so. He's been just absolutely phenomenal. And he's a guy who's really got a lot of momentum behind him right now going into his match with Samoa Joe at AEW Dynasty at the end of April. And he is a guy who a lot of people feel should defeat Samoa Joe at Dynasty and become the AEW World Champion. Now, here's the problem. You've got Will Ospreay, you've got Swerve Strickland. Do you put the title on Swerve at Dynasty and have him drop it to Will Ospreay at All In? Is that what you do? Is that the goal? Or do you hold off on Swerve getting the title and let Ospreay win at All In? Or do you let Swerve get the title and then Ospreay wrestles somebody else at All In and they hold off the Will Ospreay title victory for next year's All In if they still do it in Wembley? So, a lot to think about. There is a lot to think about. And like I mentioned MJF. He'll be coming back. He's probably not going to get the title back right away, I would assume. But you got to believe he'll have another title run at some point. You know, it's a situation where you have a company that has a lot of really great talent, no denying that, but there might not be enough TV time to feature all of them, and there's way too many titles right now. Like, this has been a problem with AEW for a while, but their roster just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And again, it in some ways it's a good problem to have. In other ways, it's just a problem. So if it were up to me, I would go with Strickland winning the title. Maybe not at Dynasty. Maybe hold off another month till Double or Nothing. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It depends on what their plan is. But because I kind of like Samoa Joe as champion. He has that different aura, that different attitude, and I really like that. Also, I was thinking maybe it's a good idea to have Swerve not win yet and then win later. In fact, if it were me in charge, what I would probably do is, and again, this could all change, obviously injuries, but what I would do is not have Will Ospreay become the world champion this year. And I know that might be risky and timing is everything, but Will Ospreay is just getting better and better. He's young, and you've got him signed for a few years. I say you build him up. I say you use All In to give Will Ospreay the co-main event, whether it be against Kenny Omega, because they haven't finished off that feud yet, to give the crowd like something really memorable. Because think about it, if All In 2 is headlined by like a triple main event, all right, Bryan Danielson against Nigel, because that was supposed to happen last year and it's been postponed to this year. Swerve winning the title, if you want to hold it off till then, because you could do that. You could have Swerve win it at All In, actually, and that'd be a big win for him in front of that big crowd. And then Ospreay Omega, like that is just those three matches alone are just phenomenal. So if it were up to me, I think I would hold off on Ospreay's title win one more year. I think you can have him as a featured top babyface. It's sort of like what they did in the 80s, in the early 80s, with Bob Backlund and Superfly Jimmy Snuka. Bob Backlund was the WWW, then later WWF champion when they dropped one of the W's. And he was the top babyface, quote unquote, with the title. But the real top face of 83 was Superfly Jimmy Snuka. I mean, the dude was drawing houses in the Garden. You could ask anybody, go back and watch the footage. He was in a feud with Don Morocco and a few other heels, but the dude was the big draw that year. So, I think you could do a situation easily where you have Strickland's moment be this year, and then Ospreay's moment could be next year. But again, it kind of depends on where the pieces fall, because you really don't know who's going to get over. You've got Hangman Page at some point coming back. You've got Okada in the mix, even though he's got that Continental title, which, what was the point of doing like a 2-month tournament to unify titles if you're going to split them up again? I don't get it. It's dumb. Waste of time, to be honest, but whatever. I think Ospreay is the man, but I'm not sure about rushing him into being world champion when he can just be a feature guy like Bryan Danielson and be on the card and guarantee you that classic New Japan style main event without actually being the world champion. Those are my thoughts. What do you think about Will Ospreay as the champ? Let me know in the comments below.